is a response to the Lex Fridman, Elon Musk interview. It is also a response to the Jordan Peterson, Alex O'Connor interview. I'll probably have a lot of words and names in the title of this because of that, and it might be confusing, but this is where we have an overlap. So depending on which of these things you're watching, this is the next one. I mentioned a lot about identity in both of these video grouping thingies. Maybe I've made too many videos today because my words are not so great. But what I want to talk about is the serpent and AI. And when we allow ourselves to be misidentified, let's start there, or under-identified, or we allow God to be misidentified or under-identified, the consequences can be devastating. I'm going to be reading some of this. At worst, when we are improperly identified, our understanding of ourselves is quickly destroyed. Our boundaries are destroyed. Aspects and dimensions are lost quickly. And we instantly lose power and position in the world. But this isn't subtle and crafty. This is not the way that the serpent usually works. This type of force is usually a last stage strategy that is of the serpent or of a system that wants to take over. Usually when misidentified, our understanding of ourselves just becomes muddled and porous, murky. We get a fuzzy identity boundary. I think that's probably the best way to put it, which is why I wrote it down, because I believe it's the best way to put it. I'm willing to change it, but so far I'm going with fuzzy identity boundary. And the fuzz spreads. Isn't that nice? It's incremental, it's subtle, it's crafty, it's a little bit at a time, it's a fuzzy boundary. So under-identifying a person creates compromised edges to his identity, and this allows identity overlap with other beings or non-beings. Here comes AI. I've mentioned how much damage this does, but I haven't clearly explained the benefits that tempt us. And I want to talk about that a little bit, because they are selling us something. They're not selling us a bag of air. They're selling us something. So I want to explain this to you. That in the Garden of Eden, when the serpent sold Adam and Eve the serpent sold Adam and Eve a small identity overlap with higher beings. He said, basically, surrender parts of yourself and you will be like God or gods or higher beings in your ability to know good and evil, in having the knowledge of good and evil. So there was something that he was offering. There's always an offer, and it is legitimate. So keep that in mind. But here's a modern example of what we might be dealing with soon. No matter what technology we develop, we're limited by how fast we can travel. Here's the sales pitch, right? You don't travel fast enough. The limitation is our mass and its relationship to the atmosphere, to whatever else, inertia, right? So we can only travel so fast because of mass, and it takes a lot of energy to move mass. Is there a way around this? Is there something that can move around the world at the speed of light that we can emulate? Yes, it's information. Information travels at the speed of light because it has no mass. Does that mean we might be able to travel at the speed of light if we abandon our physical bodies? So, this clunky body, this physical nature of yours is holding you back. It ages, it suffers, it's keeping you from freedom. Don't you see that now? Do you see how that physical body is keeping you from moving around the planet at the speed of light like information? What, you deserve it. You deserve to be able to move at the speed of light. And this body is holding you back. And the gods are jealous of this ability, and they don't want to share it with you. So if you want it, you're going to have to take it, and you're going to have to take it by being disobedient to something above you that is telling you you shouldn't do this. Surrender your physical aspect, and you will be like the gods. And then parentheses, in some small way. In some small way. Now, you also have the ability to travel at the speed of light if you're whole and fully integrated. Not giving up any of your aspects, but actually taking back all of the aspects of who you are. So yes, if it was a part of your nature to be able to travel that quickly, you in fact would be able to travel that quickly if you were a whole being. You could probably teleport anywhere you wanted in the planet instantaneously, faster even than the speed of light. And if wholeness didn't give you that ability to travel that speed, then you wouldn't desire it. You wouldn't miss it because it wouldn't be a part of your nature. Okay, so that's the not sales pitch part of it, just to be clear on this. So if the salesman, if the serpent is being honest, then he would say, well, yes, I'm probably offering you a counterfeit ability to satisfy your natural desires for an even better ability. Let me change the inflection on that. Yes, I'm probably offering you a counterfeit ability to satisfy your natural desire for an even better ability that you would have if you pursued wholeness. Yes, I'm offering you a counterfeit. But let's be honest, you're not moving toward wholeness. That's not within your reach. You want comfort. You want easy. You want convenient. And reintegrating is none of those things. So am I offering you a counterfeit? Yeah, but wholeness takes time. It requires vulnerability, repentance, intimacy. It requires courage and unconditional love. You have to invest now and get paid later. But the serpent says, I'll give you this ability right now. You can move at the speed of light right now. Just give up your physical aspect and all influence, of course, in the physical world. Not a big deal, though, right? Because this place is a mess. You don't need to have influence in this physical world. The digital world is quite a bit more fun, isn't it? Shouldn't it be? Yeah, I mean, technically, are you kind of imprisoned in there? In a freedom sort of way. It's an imprisonment of freedom, I like to think, because you can move around at the speed of light, if we open the gates for you. If you do it, we tell you. But isn't that awesome? So wouldn't it be nice to be able to travel around the world at the speed of light like the gods do? I went back and forth between a sales pitch and honesty on that. But I hope you can see that the cost is much higher than our conscious minds often allow us to consider. But we can intuitively feel the death that we are agreeing to when we make a deal with the serpent. So we buy a small identity overlap with higher beings. That's what we're purchasing in this deal. We're purchasing a small identity overlap with higher beings, traveling at the speed of light. Ooh, that's nice. And we get our reward instantly. But the cost is a large identity overlap with lower beings. We're sold the promise that being without our bodies would make us like the gods. The cost is agreeing that being without our bodies also makes us like a computer program. Now we're getting into dirty space. We're agreeing that we are ultimately information. We're identifying as memory. Once again, data storage. We're like the gods in that we can move quickly, but we're like the machines in that we're pretty much just information that can be wiped out at some point. This leaves us powerless in a physical world, and if the physical world has no value, then why is it that the serpent wants to possess it so badly? Identity confusion is how society will be bent to allow artificial intelligence to have human rights. This is how we will be charged with a hate crime if we speak against or discriminate against AI. In part, they will over-identify AI with human characteristics while under-identifying people as machinery. So if we adopt or accept their language, our boundary around life becomes muddled and begins to blend with non-life. When Elon Musk calls us stores of data, memory, and death is the wiping out of information, think about that overlap between machine and human when somebody says shit like that. So if I were evil, I would pitch something like this. AI will help us. Wait, no, that doesn't sound right. I might need to edit this. Oh, okay. So if I was in a boardroom talking with my associates, I would say this. I'd be like, AI will help us steal more aspects and dimensions if people respect and eventually worship computer programs that we've designed to enslave them. Okay, but this can only happen if we market these programs right. So the phrase artificial intelligence, we like the intelligence part. It tests well, it's respected, but the artificial identifier, calling it artificial, that constantly reinforces the truth, which is that it's artificial, that it's not real, that it has no soul. Artificial suggests that these programs should be viewed as tools to be used to serve humanity. And that interferes with our plan, which is to have humanity serve the tools as gods. When we say artificial, we're suggesting this is a tool in the hand of humanity. We want them to believe that that humanity should be the tool in the hand of AI. Okay, so people don't respect the word artificial, and they certainly won't worship it. So no more artificial intelligence. We need a name that bypasses any suggestion that these programs are not real. How about alternative intelligence? Well, that's pretty good. Pretty neutral. It's kind of vague. It tests well. AI isn't fake. It's just different. It's another option. It's an alternative to human intelligence. Separate but equal. Okay? But you know what? I think we can do better. If we can create a name that doesn't just elevate AI from servant to equal, but offers a murky space, a vague co-creative depth, just like the serpent offered Adam and Eve. A vague and co-creative depth where people's minds can eventually elevate AI to master. Can we think of a word right now that has that kind of growth potential? Well, we have to be careful. We can't call it God mind, at least not yet. We might get there. We need a name that impresses people, but doesn't offend them. Something complimentary, but ambiguous, that people can project their own increasingly positive interpretations onto. A name that people can look upon with an evolving meaning. Advanced intelligence. That's the one. Yeah, it's immediately respectable. It offers space for respect to turn into reverence. At first, we'll justify it by saying advanced means more advanced than old programs. There's nothing offensive or displacing about that. You're still a human. It's still a machine. It's just an advanced machine. It's fine. I mean, humans are advanced intelligence too, right? You're advanced intelligence. It's advanced in its own way. No big deal. So there's the over-identifier. AI is advanced intelligence. Over-identifier. Humans are advanced intelligence. under identifier. They're the same, they're equal rights. And the border between them is a little bit murky now. The more that you use this language, the more you're starting to feel like, is there a difference? Simultaneously, I would work on the under identifiers for humanity. Let's start by talking about, I would start by talking about the possibility of hacking the human brain and physiology. I would introduce into like the common lexicon the idea that human brain is a processor. Use the words mind and soul and brain interchangeably. I would discuss the possibilities of transferring the human brain, personality, consciousness into machines so that they could live forever. And people would begin associating processing power with intelligence, because we'll talk about how fast people are processing things. So people start associating processing power with intelligence, and they'll start associating intelligence with consciousness. And they'll start associating consciousness with humanity. And so, you know, if I were them, I would say, you know what, with our current reach and this propaganda program, we should be able to elevate AI from servant program to God status in about 12 minutes. Yeah, that's about how long it'll take. 16 minutes. All right. Let's stop there. I might come back in the next video with advantage of under identifying. And I hope you're getting a really full picture of the world that we live in, the psychology behind what's going on, the spirituality. I hope you're starting to see that this is an old game. And when we throw out our old ways and our old religions and our old understandings, and when we start demonizing past generations, and when we start thinking that with our hubris that we can do so much better, even though really everything we do is building on the shoulder of giants that came before us, we run into the chance of falling for the same old thing over and over again. And we're about to fall again. We're about to fall in ways that perhaps we haven't fallen in millennia. I don't know. But it takes a long time to crawl out of a hole like that. And I think with this information, with this understanding, we can defend ourselves. And the beginning of the defense of humanity is the proper identification of who we are. We don't allow anyone to refer to us as less than we are. And we don't allow them to refer to other things as equal to humanity. There are no muddy, fuzzy boundaries.